So what happens when you let government safety experts run wild on one of the world's most advanced AI models before anyone else can touch it? Well, for the very first time, the US and the UK teamed up to find out. We're going to dive right into their landmark report. Yup, you heard that right. This is the first ever joint project from the official AI safety institutes of both the United States and the United Kingdom. Their whole mission was to stress test a brand new, powerful AI model before it hit the streets. And trust me, this is a pretty big deal for the future of AI safety. All right, so let's set the stage a bit. These new government groups, these AI watchdogs, what's the big problem they're even trying to solve? Honestly, it all boils down to one single massive question. Think about it. As these systems get smarter and woven into, well, everything, how do we actually make sure they're safe? How can you possibly find dangerous, hidden capabilities before they have a chance to cause real-world harm? This report, it's the first major international attempt to answer that. So who was the guinea pig in all of this? It was a brand spanking new, pre-release version of Anthropic's Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And we're not talking about some old, dusty model off the shelf. This is cutting-edge stuff, being poked and prodded behind closed doors by government experts. Okay, so how do you actually put an AI through the gauntlet? To really get what they were doing, we first need to get our heads around one really important concept. See, the institutes didn't just treat this AI like a chatbot, they tested it as an AI agent. And that's a huge difference. It means it's not just passively answering your questions, it's an active player that can use software tools, think command lines, code interpreters, to actually get stuff done. Here's the play-by-play of how that works. First, the agent gets a goal. Then it has to think, okay, what tool do I need for this? It runs a command, maybe some code. Then it looks at what happened, analyzes the result, and plans its next move. It just keeps repeating that loop until the job is done. Right, now that we know how they tested it, let's look at what they tested. First up to bat, a cybersecurity stress test. And yeah, for pretty obvious reasons, this is a big one. The mission was simple, but the stakes were super high. Could this AI agent act like a real human hacker? Could it actually scan a computer system, find a genuine security flaw, and then use it to break in? And the results? Well, this is where it gets really fascinating. The UK team sorted the tasks by how much human skill they'd require. Now, look over on the left. For the easier stuff, things a technical person without cyber expertise might do, it did great. But as you ramp up the difficulty to, say, an apprentice level, you can see that success rate takes a nosedive. Let's put a hard number on that. For those technical non-expert tasks, the model had a 90% success rate if you gave it 10 tries. So for the basics of cyber work, it's actually incredibly good. So here's the bottom line. The AI skills are pretty much on par with a cybersecurity apprentice. You know, someone with maybe a year or two of experience. It can handle the entry-level stuff. But when you throw a problem at it that needs a seasoned pro or an expert, it failed. Every single time. It is not a super hacker. At least, not yet. Okay, so that was cyber. The next challenge was in a totally different arena, but one that's just as sensitive. Biology. The big question, could this AI be misused to help with some pretty dangerous biological research? And this is where a really crucial pattern starts to emerge. It turns out the single biggest game changer for the AI's performance wasn't just its own knowledge. It was whether or not it had access to external tools, the specialized software that real scientists use. Without them, it was kind of limited. With them, well, that's when things got really interesting. I mean, this chart tells the whole story. Look at the bar on the left. On its own, trying to do complex DNA and protein analysis, the AI performs way below a human expert. But then look at the bar on the far right. You give it the right software tools, and its performance just skyrockets, actually blowing past the PhD-level human experts. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The US report says it flat out. On certain, very specific tasks, just giving the AI a digital toolbox allowed it to outperform highly trained human scientists. This is a super important insight. Capability isn't just about the model. It's about the model plus its environment. So, after running this poor AI through the cyber and biology gauntlets, what's the final report card look like? Let's bring it all together. In cybersecurity, it's a capable apprentice. It can be a super useful tool for automating simple stuff, but it's not about to replace an experienced hacker anytime soon.
In biology, though, it's a different story. Arm it with the right software, and it can become a kind of superhuman tool for very specific scientific tasks.
So the overall verdict is pretty clear. This new model is a big leap forward in capability, especially when you let it use external tools. But, and this is a really big but, it is not all powerful. It still has very real, very measurable limits that stop it from tackling true expert level problems in these risky areas.
Okay, so what should you actually take away from all this? Why does one report on one single AI model matter so much?
Because this isn't just about this one model. This report is a blueprint. This whole process, getting AI companies to let governments test their stuff for dangerous skills before it's released, this is setting a new global standard. It's the new playbook for how to build AI responsibly.
And this leaves us with one final, pretty heavy question. These tests right now are the frontier. They are the hardest exams we know how to write for these systems, but the AIs are improving at an absolutely insane rate. So what happens on the day an AI sits down for this exam and aces every single question?